answer.
Noob Jazz, engage.
Yeah.
I can tell that you had a lot of fun picking the music for the start of this cast.
You know what? That was actually shuffle play. Would you believe that was shuffle play? Because that's what that was.
Well done, Winamp. Well done.
Exactly. Guys, welcome to the Newbcast Podcast for the 7th of October, 2018. My name is Miss Michelle Jean, joined by the usual crew, which has been an interesting few days overall with stuff, watching news, and the fact that there hasn't been any news. Yeah? No emotion from Dizza.
Well, I mean, we have a couple of things that we'll talk about, but
no news whatsoever.
None. The only news we got is that today is Hippo's birthday. So with that,
that's not really news.
Happy birthday, Hippo! Welcome to the show.
But thank you.
What have you had going on?
It's a pleasure to be spending my birthday with you guys. So thank you guys.
oh,
Oh no, I feel special. What have you had going on? You're away. What have you been playing and such?
Let's talk about Stanley Parable.
All right, I am ready for this. Let's do this.
Yeah, let's just jump into this because oh my god, I played that game, and I thought it was pretty good. Oh yeah, I'm sick by the way, so if I'm like overly phlegmy or coughy or something, I have a nice mute button right here, but if I don't get to it in time, I'm sorry. But yeah, I played the Stanley Parable last week, at the beginning of last week, and I really enjoyed it to an extent, but it definitely had some issues if you wanted to continue the story and like see all the endings. Like it was really confusing. I played it for about 2.5 hours or 2 hours, something like that. It was very fun. I enjoyed it a lot, but
yeah, I recall that you were talking about doing it on the game club last week, and I had said I wanted to be there to witness that, and sure enough, you did it the next night. I'm like, all right, I've gotta watch, see what Hippo does.
I really liked it. It was like the narrator, the writing, so sassy. Like I know I'm way late to this game. Like it came out forever ago.
2012, I think.
I got the game, had it in my Steam library, and just never installed it. I was like, oh, this game is pretty cool.
What?
Way before I thought about even streaming. Like, I've had this game for so long, and I was like, you know what? We've been talking about games and stuff on the podcast. Let me play it so that I can talk about it.
2013 is when it came out, by the way. So
yeah, that's when I got it. I got it around that time.
So 5 years?
Well, I think the irony is, had you just loaded it once, when you finally got around to playing it,
oh my
you
God,
would have
right?
gotten the "don't play the game for 5 years" trophy.
I would have. That's actually something that I didn't know was a thing. So if you guys have never played the game, you've never. The game has an achievement where if you load the game and don't play it for 5 years and then log in like on that 5th year, you get an achievement. I didn't know that.
Yep.
But it wasn't really my type of game at the time, and I feel like it's still not quite the kind of game that I enjoy. But it was funny, it was entertaining, the writing was fantastic, and again, I have to say, streaming has ruined me. I can't play a game by myself. Playing a game alone just is so boring now, you guys. If I don't have somebody in chat talking with me about the game that I'm playing or just something to randomly rant about, I'm just like, I guess this is fun. I don't get it. I don't know what's wrong with me.
Is that an accurate portrayal?
That is a very accurate portrayal. I don't even talk to myself. I don't talk to myself. Maybe that's a problem, right? Maybe I should be talking to myself or something. I don't need practice.
It's good to talk to yourself.
Like 6 to 8 hours a day.
Minor details.
But yeah, I don't know. It's not very fun for me if I play a game by myself. Although I have been playing MapleStory 2 by myself. Like that transition. So it's a very good segue. Segue. Uh, yeah, Maple Story too. Just you can pick it up for like $25, or you could wait for like 3 days and get it for free, or you could be like me and waste your money. I really like the game. It's pretty cool. It's like an MMO, like adventure with story and stuff like that. But I have opinions about it. I have some opinions.
Yeah.
None of which to do with the like microtransactions or anything. 'Cause I haven't actually played enough to check it out. But it's like an exploration RPG where you just go kill stuff, and it's really fun. There's a story. I don't know what it is. um but there is some weird things to it. It's very like old fashioned in that it has some like movements, like the animations. It's like one animation on a loop for every character, so it looks a little strange sometimes. There's a lot of fade to black for no reason, that kind of stuff. It's great. But Dizza, what have you been doing?
Oh goodness. I have been traveling every which direction. I've been playing a lot of Persona, unsurprisingly. I have officially passed the halfway point in the game from everything that I've heard so far. And I've been trying to keep it mostly spoiler free, but progress is being made. And
Are you sure?
Wow.
the worst part is the further I go, the more opportunity I have to just level grind. And now that I've got the opportunity to level grind, I just want to spend all of my time level grinding so that the rest of the game is easy. And so I find myself back and forth on this loop of I want to be as prepared as possible because you get limited time in this game. So I better make sure I maximize everything that I can do. But do I really want to spend 12 hours sitting in a place level grinding versus just enjoying the game when I already know it's ridiculously long?
That's fair. By the way, Dizza, welcome to the show.
Oh, hi.
Yeah. So, halfway through, how many hours have you put into it at this point?
I think the official count right now is 57.
God, that hurts to hear. You have no idea how much that hurts to hear. Oh, that's a microphone.
It's okay. I see the light at the end of the tunnel. And I promise you, at some point, I'm just going to be like, I don't care about any of this. I am just going to rush through and finish. And if I do that, I will probably be able to fit under 100. Probably.
Is that an achievement for that game? I feel like that's an achievement for that game.
It should be.
Oh, man. Well,
We don't even have all the main characters yet. Can we appreciate this? 57 hours in, we do not have all of the main characters.
that's insane.
And this is why I can't play that game.
Yeah, right?
I can't.
I already have one game that sucks that much life out of me. I can't have another one try to do that.
Mhm.
That's fair. Outside of wasting my life to a fantastic game, and it is still a great game. Like I still come to it like, okay, I'm ready to play this. I'm ready to see the next chapter. I guess I'm not as incredibly enthusiastic as I was when I started, but there's still some energy there. I'm not crying to get to the computer and play. But everything else has just been mobile games. There's one in particular I've been playing, Pixel Starships, and it feels like FTL.
Yeah, that game does feel a lot like FTL with a few other upgrades. I know exactly which game you're talking about. I've played some of it as well.
Pleasantly surprised to find a core game mechanic in a fast, easy to play game on mobile, and not upset.
Mm-hmm.
Not ready to spend a ton of money on it yet, and I am always frustrated with the microtransaction model. Like I think inherently I will just always be against it.
Yep.
But if they give me something reasonable, like a one-time purchase, and then most content is available, and then people who want to go crazy go for it, then sure,
Mhm.
I'll do that. Until then, I'll be a free-to-play pleb. I'm okay with that.
Nothing wrong with that at all. Yeah, I I guess like I've played a little bit of it. I was trying. That's always the trick with mobile games, though, isn't it? Like trying to prevent that whole like breaking the band-aid or peeling the band-aid off of the free to play to the abyss of microtransactions that lie underneath.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this one's been a pretty slow burning one, which is great.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, like, I'm interested in making a purchase, which seldom happens with microtransactions. I just wish that I could do like a one-time big purchase for anything that I might possibly want, as opposed to the microtransaction model. Every single time, it gets me.
Sure. Right on. Well, that said, I guess welcome. Yay. And
Yay.
yay. And to our guest, Hidden Object Guru, Danny, welcome to the show.
Thanks so much for having me.
Yeah.
What have I been up to?
Yes.
Good question. Let's see. I have been playing the only game that matters, the only game anyone needs, Fist of the North Star Lost Paradise. It's a game where you punch people and then their heads explode for another 60 hours. And that is 60 hours of exploding heads. And I wouldn't cut it short. I wouldn't want one of those hours taken away.
Look, clearly 60 hours of head explosions is a great way to spend time. I mean, how could you possibly go wrong with that?
Indubitable. I adore it. I mean, I was already a fan of the franchise, and I consider the Yakuza developers to be probably like the best team of developers. Like they do more consistently great work than anyone else in video games.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't know that they've ever put out a bad game. And like not only do they have this brawler thing all to themselves, but their third-person shooter, the Yakuza Dead Souls, was good fun, even if it wasn't great.
Mm-hmm.
And the guys in charge of Yakuza went off and made Binary Domain. And this is my regular reminder to everyone, go play Binary Domain. It costs like $5 now, and it's the best third-person shooter of the Xbox 360 generation.
Okay.
No excuse for not having
pictures.
played Binary Domain.
I'm just kind of peeking at that one quick. What else have you been doing?
Oh, gosh, so much. Well, I mean, I stream every day over at the Hoguru channel on YouTube. So I have played, in the past month, 200 indie games, which is a lot.
Just a few.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, when you're only playing 20 minutes of each of them, you get through them pretty fast.
True.
But Colette's Sugar Madness is something I want to give a shout out to. It's this platformer that's coming out. It's a special Halloween thing. You play a little girl who's trying to get as much candy as she can and blowing up houses at the people who won't give her candy. And it only takes about half an hour to play. I think it's around sub $5. There are lots of great levels, really inventive controls. It's a traditional speedy platformer, but the developers have chosen to do like full simulated momentum.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh.
There's no quick starts and stops. You have to plan your platforming as you go. And it's 50% like running left to right levels and 50% climbing levels. And the climbing levels, Kid Icarus style, you run off the right side of the screen and come in the left side of the screen and vice versa. So there's good influences, and across the whole game, you're constantly swapping what costume the little girl is in, and each costume has its own set of powers that completely changes how you play the game.
Okay.
What game is this called again? What's the name?
Sugar Madness. Colette's
Okay.
Sugar Madness, yeah. I mean, they sent me an advanced copy, but I think it's either out this week or next week. So, yeah. If you want just like a really interesting platform that's cheap, tiny team who's done a great job. Obviously, the graphics aren't high end, and at the beginning of it, you're like, wait a minute, this is a simple pixel art graphics 2D platformer. Why is this made in Unreal Engine 4?
Wait, this game is in Unreal. Why?
I load it up and it's like made in Unreal Engine 4. I'm like, okay.
Okay.
I mean,
it seems like
Beautiful.
that's more resources than you needed.
right?
Like the game.
Like, look, we're not going to tell you how to make your game, but that seems like that you took a blowtorch to light a candle. Like,
Yeah, it
This
was
is a
the
bit
most
excessive.
surprising thing about it. The game is the little title card saying what engine they used. But it is a standout that I played recently that I think people should check out.
Yeah, kind of looking at the trailer here. I wish I had a way to show everyone else the trailer right now.
I
There we
just
go,
posted
perfect.
it in chat.
Thank you. Yeah, it looks adorable. It looks like it could be a lot of
It
fun
is.
too.
Yeah, it's
And it came out on Friday, so it is available now. So there you go.
all right. So yeah, I think people should check that out too. And obviously, I have plenty of other recommendations. Too many to get into. Although, if people want to see a hot new FTL meets, I mean, maybe you've already talked about it here on the show. But if you want to see a hot new FTL meets XCOM, check out Depths of Extinction.
I feel like I've heard about this game.
Style level design, campaign design, and then XCOM style mission design. So it's a really good marriage of the two. It's still in early access, so it's still relatively inexpensive. And I recently previewed it on the channel and had a great time. So
There's another game like that came out recently with the same style combat. Although this Depths of Extinction is like a different art style, whereas the one that I'm talking about looks so much like XCOM that I was like, is that a new XCOM expansion? I forget what it's called, but yeah.
It's funny because there are so many games. Like I don't know exactly when it happened, but XCOM 1 design. Like now everyone, when they're making a strategy game, they're like, well, what should the combat be like? Oh, well, obviously turn-based, abilities bar at the bottom, grid-based movement, and then we show you what kind of cover you're in whenever you click on an area. It's like all of the core elements of XCOM have just become what every strategy game does. And, good for them. It's a great system. But like in the past months alone, I played Phantom Protocol.
Mm-hmm.
I think it might be
Phantom Doctrine.
Oh, sure. Yep.
Doctrine, which is just, it's a spy game with XCOM combat. I played Depths of
Extinction. That's the one I was thinking of.
I covered it for the channel, and it's wonderful. But I'm just saying, like, the combat is 100% cribbed from XCOM.
Mm-hmm.
Doctrine, I played Depths of Extinction, and I'm currently playing Achtung Cthulhu Tactics, which again is just, it's got a couple of its own twists, but it's basically just XCOM in World War II with H.P. Lovecraft monsters.
That's cool.
Cthulhu
It's
and
totally okay
Hitler.
with that.
I mean, that's perfect, right? I mean,
No. And then, yeah, it's ideal. It fits perfectly together. That is another good one to recommend. Achtung Cthulhu Tactics.
Wow, you've been all over. So yeah, I suppose, having said everything you covered and whatnot, just a brief, Hidden Object Guru does a lot of game review and like analyzing of games on his YouTube channel. I've been so kind to have been able to, or been privileged rather, to have been able to join him on Warhammer 40k Space Marine a few weeks ago. That was...
We had one hell of a time. Oh, I'm so bad at that game, but it's a lot of fun.
Preaching to the choir, I was horrible, but we'll have information on where to find them at the end of the show, but just to kind of put that in perspective for you guys. Anything else, or have you covered the big ones?
I think that's the big things that have been going on.
Sure.
Like I said, Fist of the North Star, it's bomb. Everyone needs to buy it so we can get more Fist of the North Star games, and so that they will continue localizing their other games. Because not all the Yakuza game teams come to North America, and they should.
Okay. There we go. Michelle, what have you been playing? Great question. No,
Wow. Nice segue.
I know, right?
Just-
I'm a pro. What can I say? I'm absolutely a pro at it. Yeah, it's been a lot of Guild Wars again. I had things that occurred that I still can't talk about, but things that I noticed, and I ended up playing more Guild Wars than I normally do as a result of it on stream. If you don't know, I messaged the roundtable about it earlier, but it was a thing. It happened.
I did saw that.
You saw that?
You saw that.
I saw it.
You saw it?
You saw it with a knife.
Yeah.
Not even a saw. With a knife.
With a saw. No, it was a knife. It was a saw.
It was a
Was
saw
it a butter
knife.
No, it was a saw. Because I saw it. Go on.
So Yeah, been doing a good amount of that. Been doing a good amount of that. The other game
I'm not sorry.
I bet you're not. Oh my god. The other game I played a fair amount of in the last couple of weeks has been Magic the Gathering Arena, which is a recent release. It looks a lot like Hearthstone. It plays a lot like Hearthstone, but it has the Magic the Gathering mechanics in it, like the core mechanics and the phases of a turn. So it's a little more complex than Hearthstone, but it's Magic the Gathering Hearthstone. It's really what it is, but it's a lot of fun. A lot of the same. It's just a lot of the ways you buy packs and expansions, the various expansions. Some more recent expansions that came out in this year have been able to be purchased. But I enjoyed it. I mean, I found that I started playing and then all of a sudden, oh, there's 8 hours. Oops. I did not mean to do that. So yeah, it's been Magic the Gathering and Guild Wars, and I guess technically since the last podcast, actual podcast, Super Hot was a thing too that we talked at great lengths about last week during the book club. And
it's not a book club.
It's a game club.
It's a game club.
It's a game club.
Elijah will yell at you.
You had to cross it out in the title just to make it clear that it was not a book club.
Yeah. Right. The game club. We talked at great lengths about Super Hot and whatnot.
I'll leave the note that I don't think any of us have played Super Hot since our discussion last week.
I think that's probably...
I don't plan on it. I don't ever plan on going back to the game unless they do something new or interesting with it. I'm not going back to it. And if they do that, they're probably coming out with a new game.
Super Hot VR, right? Like,
ooh, that might be tempting.
Not VR.
That might be tempting.
Yeah, you know, somebody here who is super addicted to VR games, Michelle.
Yes?
Why didn't you play it in VR?
I don't own a VR headset.
Well, you only will play Bridge Crew with me if it's in VR.
That's correct.
So why are you playing a game that isn't in VR?
That's not how it was advertised, though. Super Hot was just advertised as the most innovative shooter in years.
Well, technically they are two different games with completely different, not completely, but notably different mechanics and completely different levels. Like,
right.
The Super Hot VR is its own game, its own completely separate game from Super Hot.
There we go. Isn't the VR version of Super Hot basically the endless version or like more of just the puzzles versus the actual story?
Basically all puzzles. Like there are a bunch of different levels. They've got very interesting concepts, but there's no free movement in it. So there's a situation, you kill the guys, it warps you to the next part of the situation. And it's brilliant in that they're able to craft narratives within the action, right? But there doesn't have the overarching plot that Super Hot does of the not hackers, but of the people playing the illegal games and what, of course, that means. Mm-hmm. Narrative stuff has been stripped out. Well, for the most part.
That's what that's kind of what I was referring to. That was stripped out for it, just so you can have the experience, because the VR version is just about the experience versus the telling of the story of it.
That is completely accurate. Yeah.
Whereas, Bridge Crew was advertised as a VR experience of being on the bridge of the Enterprise while conducting the Kobayashi Maru.
Yeah, did you know that they made it not VR?
What fun is that?
It runs at 60 FPS or more.
I love how he knows how to sell it to me. Guys, it runs 60 FPS. That's totally what you want.
The frame rates.
There may even be an FOV slider.
There is.
Oh my god.
I think. Probably.
With a game like that, there has to be an FOV slider. Could you imagine? I'm actually
I'm pretty sure there is. I don't remember looking. I remember looking at the options. I don't remember a FOV slider, but it's also I only looked at the options for like a minute.
I'll be perfectly honest. Like I'm actually one of those people, if the FOV number is too low, I actually am one of the people that will get sick watching it. So
Yeah, I can't play low FOV.
yeah,
I'm gonna
I
get a
need
headache.
to know. Like, I remember that, like, the
I've
first time I
never looked at an
experienced it.
FOV slider in my entire life.
Oh, yeah.
I've never looked at one. I've never adjusted one. I just play the games however they come.
You are fortunate. Like, I had this experience where I was playing a game and I started getting sick. I'm just like, why do I feel like shit? And I messaged another game critic about it, and he's like, yep, that's exactly why I talk about FOV sliders. Like, aha, it all makes sense now.
I wonder, and do you have any problems with VR sickness, I wonder?
So
I have
VR,
never-
do you get
Because that would be related.
it would be.
I wonder if that's related, because I've never had a problem with FOV, and from day one of VR, I've never had the slightest problem playing VR. I can play VR for hours and hours.
The only,
Which
problem
one
with
do you have?
yeah.
I say both. There's three. PSVR and Vive.
Okay.
Yeah, I was gonna say
Because I know. Michelle, please go.
I was saying, a lot of times I don't, because the proportions are right as far as like where my head should be on like the avatar's shoulders and such, and height is right. The exception was abduction. Trying that out on the Oculus, I got incredibly motion sickness from that. It was so jarring. Like, you start strafing one way, and your body and your brain goes, you're not actually moving that direction. And yeah, that was not a great experience. But that is about the only time I've gotten really sick from that type of gameplay.
That's what I hear.
Mm-hmm.
The Oculus is way less forgiving. So if you even remotely have FOV / like motion sickness, it's not for you. The Vive is way better, but everybody says that you have to have like a full room setup. Like, you have to have everything.
I've got it in
all
my
of
living room. You don't need a full room. I mean, I got 6 feet wide by 4 feet long, and that box does me just fine. I kept it far away from the television, so I don't risk hitting anything.
It's a good idea.
Smart.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like I said, I don't have anywhere near a full room, and I've never, I've stubbed my toe a couple of times. That's the extent of it. Sometimes I step on my treadmill, stub my toe. That's all that ever happens.
Okay.
Shouldn't you be on the treadmill though? Because like omnidirectional treadmill for VR experience.
Oh God, imagine that, right? I've
Well,
always
that's
wondered
the next step.
Literally,
Literally.
just hop on the treadmill and walk, and I'm like, yeah, but you're gonna trip and break your neck on that treadmill if you try walking with the headset on it. Wait for the omnidirectional deals.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. It's called the omnidirectional. I signed up for like a thing way before, like when it first came out. I have no place to put this thing, you guys. If I were to have won that giveaway, I would be like, what do I do?
What you do is you find an abandoned van and you set it up in there with your VR headset and Ready Player One, anyone?
Yeah, no, we all got the reference and we were all sad.
I suppose so. With the new Oculus that comes out, that might help with like the room and everything too, because that's gonna be all wireless, so you're gonna be even less hindered by where you can go and whatnot. So
It's true.
Cabs,
It's still gonna be like $1,000 for that wireless technology, though, right?
$400. The new Oculus.
That's actually affordable.
Yeah.
But it's Oculus.
Well,
Oculus.
but if
That's how they get you.
if everything's if it's all improved and it's wireless, it's not like
Improved. I would
mean, it's
definitely
something
need to try that.
To try, but personally, I mean, I've had no real problems with my wires so far, so I'm not rushing to upgrade. But it does sound very impressive.
it does. I'm excited to see just how well it works when it launches. I
You think
hope
they'll have some at TwitchCon?
that's a good question. That would be a great place to exhibit it. There's no doubt. I mean, what better way to get a bunch of gamers on board than having, gamers with clout talk about it at great length.
But eye herpes.
Look, you just have to wipe it down, right?
Yeah, yes.
So just make sure that you have the antiseptic wipes with you before you go. Which I mean, you should
Oh,
be bringing to a
you
con
should
anyway.
Definitely, yes, absolutely.
Did you not have your alcohol wipes when you were going to a con? If you didn't, that one's on you. Come on.
Yeah.
Yep.
I didn't
That's
actually get sick from it. My girlfriend at the time, she got sick and then gave it to me, but I didn't get sick like from the con. I got sick from her.
That's a 6 of 1 though. Because you went to the con.
Yeah.
I mean, I went to the con, but I didn't get it from the con. I got it from her, who she got it from the con.
Con
so...
card is almost always
Right. If
unavoidable.
Hippo wasn't at the con, it still would have happened because
Exactly.
because she was there.
She picked up the germs. I didn't. I killed them all. I had hand sanitizer because I knew that there was going to be like 50,000 nerds running around, snotting all over the place.
Oh my god.
We discredit ourselves so much.
I know, right?
Oh wow.
Not that you're wrong. Not that you are wrong.
There's definitely some people snotting around that place, I have to say.
Oh yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. When we go,
I'm doing it, but I'm at home.
Well, I was gonna say in a few weeks when we're there, hand sanitizer will definitely be in the pocket, ready to do its work. Yeah,
I would hope so.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm perfectly happy with my the VR technology. What I want is a fix to the controllers.
Yeah.
I adore my Vive. Get me a thumbstick on that thing, HTC. Because this touchpad is garbage.
Is it like the
It's exactly like the Steam controller touchpad.
That I was gonna say, yeah.
It's born out of Steam's obsession with getting rid of thumbsticks and putting in touchpads, and that was a garbage idea, and it was always a garbage idea. Like the Vive is better than the Oculus in every way, except for the fact that the Oculus has a thumbstick and buttons, and you know what? Thumbsticks and buttons are better than touchpads, and the touchpad's also a button.
Mm-hmm.
Screw you! Come on.
Yeah, it'd be nice to see something that I don't. I'm so torn on like the controls for VR. Like I felt like the Vive controllers work pretty well overall, but like I wish there's a way to have an animation or something that occurred in those VR games where if you were to do something like that, you actually get to see your character do the same thing. I know it's so petty of me to say that, but that would be so great.
Now. Like I go to YouTube and I see the videos of the guys who have the glove where there's a little wrap around each of your like joints, the middle joint of each of your fingers, and so when you curl your fingers, it happens in the game, and you can do one at a time. Like that stuff's already here if you want to spend the money, and it's coming for everybody eventually. See, you're right; it's still a couple of years off.
Yeah, that is the kicker of the whole thing. Is it's far off, and at this point it's incredibly expensive, and not because I mean, if that's the case, we had the Power Glove.
Available to everybody.
We had the Power Glove 30 years ago that had that same technology, but it's just so freaking expensive that there was no way that the average consumer could buy it.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. I knew one person who had a Power Glove back in the day, and it didn't control well. Like it just wasn't good. But you know, it was a fun thing to try, but it was not a good piece of software. Whereas today, I mean, the tech is there to make the dream of the Power Glove a reality, and people are already doing it, but it's not going to be cheap for a couple of years.
I think once they can find a way to be able to mass produce it and not have to pay for it, it's twofold, right? They have to be able to mass produce it, plus they have to be able to have it at some quality standard, right? Like you don't want to get to some cheapy knockoff that can technically do it, but it doesn't track half your movements, or it's just, for lack of better terms, garbage. There's a great like gaming historian video that talked about the prototype of the Power Glove and what it was and what it became when it was a consumer product, and how much it had changed from prototype to consumer product. And there was so much taken out because they're trying to make it more cost effective so anyone could buy it. And though the technology is there now to do what we're talking about, like is it really consumer grade yet, or is it still at a level where if you have a lot of money, go ahead and dump it, but your average consumer is just not gonna burn that money yet?
Yeah, that's something that I was thinking about. It's like, are they really going to benefit from making a lot of them?
Yeah.
Because how many people are really interested in getting that to begin with? How many, and then
That's true too.
and then how many people are willing to pay a certain price for it, right?
Well,
yeah.
go ahead.
I think the big challenge is getting to the point with VR where, in general, you can say that it's a household product. Like, we're nowhere near that point now.
No.
So until we get to that point, there's going to be no reason to really innovate on that process in a way that's going to be potentially expensive.
Once we have 30 million VR headsets in homes, do we start getting quality of life improvements? Like, only when there's this robust installed user base. I mean, right now what I want most is for somebody to put together, I got my aim controller for my PSVR, which I love. Nobody's sold me, like, I'll give you $150, somebody sell me that for the Vive. Get me something like that for the Vive. I paid $100 for the aim controller. That was fine. I'll give you an extra 50 because Vive's more complicated, but somebody mass produce me a rifle that I can use with games, because handguns are fine, but trying to use a rifle in a VR game is awkward experience because I'm trying to do it
because you use
hands.
like the
Oh god, yeah.
There's no actual thing that's clipped onto.
Exactly. I got my two hands and I'm grabbing the what do you call it, the barrel of the rifle, and I'm trying to move my two hands together. Oh, it's so awkward. And whereas for the aim, I don't know if you guys have played Farpoint, but it's perfect. I mean, it works perfectly. Once you've played Farpoint, you'll be like, oh, okay, this is how all first-person shooters should be from now on forever. Experience than any other first-person shooter, because you've got the thumbstick to move, so you're free to move. You got the rifle; it feels like a rifle, and it's the most natural thing in the world to aim. But I play any other kind of first-person shooter now that I have this. And Vive could have that if they would just, HTC would come up with a gun controller for everyone to use.
Oh my gosh.
Don't
I'm dying, you guys.
don't let don't do your best impression of Fist of the North Star Hippo, please.
You should know that I have no idea what Fist of the North Star is.
Then your life is about to get a lot better, because you get to experience Fist of the North Star for the first time.
There we go.
That I've been told that.
It's beautiful, and that's all I'll say.
Oh goodness.
Okay.
So, I suppose should we move on to our actual first topic? I mean, that was a great VR discussion, but should we move on to the actual first topic?
I suppose.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So, if people have not heard, the author behind the series The Witcher has decided to take or pursue legal action against CD Projekt Red for more royalties for the Witcher series. Long story short is, when CD Projekt Red first approached him about making a game, he was convinced that video games was absolute garbage, that it wouldn't do anything, it wouldn't make any money, so he asked for a lump sum up front, and CD Projekt Red was like, all right, we were going to give you royalties, but if that's what you want to do. Well, since then, they've had two very successful sequels and made a ton of money, as I'm sure you are all well aware. Now the author's going, God, I made a mistake. And because of Polish law, he is trying to go back to court saying, you owe me money. You only gave me money for the first Witcher, not anything else after that. Even though he had signed the rights away in the contract that he was offered to him in the first place. And that puts us where we are. CD Projekt Red, although it was asked to be hush-hush and by the author's legal team, they put it on their site and they're ready to fight this thing.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
Well, okay, so they're not ready to fight. I mean, they will fight it if they have to, but they also don't want to make a big thing, because
Yeah.
Look, of all of the game devs out there, of all of the shitty devs nickel and diming every single consumer that is consuming their game, why CD Projekt Red? Like, I wouldn't say that they've never had issues or anything like that, but I will say, of all the developers, of all of the companies in gaming, they're pretty much the like shining star or something like that, of the gaming industry. Like, they actually care about integrity, as opposed to most American companies. They don't care. Or say, like, just any company that's like, oh, you want this game? That's nice. You can have the base game, but we're gonna take like $5 for this, $2.50 for that. Oh, you want premium? Okay, that's $10 a month. Like, that's the kind of shit that a lot of these companies do. CD Projekt Red doesn't,
Right.
and they actually care about their image, and they're very, very smart about it,
Mm-hmm.
as opposed to ham-fisted other companies, which I will not just put on blast, but you all know who I'm talking
Oh,
about.
we've
There's
already done that on
multiple.
the show, so we're good.
There's
we're good.
multiple. So I feel like
wait.
them. I feel like them, like, this douchebag going after them is pretty much the dumbest thing that he could do for, like, just like, just PR wise. He is a household name in Poland, but that's fucking it.
Right.
Like, he thinks he's this hot shit. Maybe in Poland. Who the fuck are you guys? Like, who are you?
Right.
Okay, you wrote the Witcher series, okay, but how many people actually knew that the Witcher series was a thing? How many people knew?
That's just it, right? Like, he stood to make a lot more money because of the fact that because of CD Projekt Red and so many more people were exposed to the Witcher franchise, that people wanted to buy the books, and the books were translated from Polish to other languages, which meant more translations to sales there.
They were not translated legally. They were fan translated because he didn't want them translated.
Thank you for the correction on that then. But I mean, that just goes to show that fans want this stuff, but I'm surprised this guy doesn't have a manager, because clearly he doesn't know how to make money in any sensible way. Like, oh, you wanna expose my creation? Okay. And the fact that he's spoken about how he made the mistake because he didn't expect a video game to catch on, or that video games can't convey a message or try to tell an elaborate story. I cannot begin to tell you how much I think this guy's conceited. Right?
No, he's an arrogant fuckhead.
Yeah.
That's what he is. I'm sorry. I will say it. He's an arrogant fuckhead.
I don't think you're going to find any
I'm
disagree.
going to jump in on this one because there's a lot of people agreeing this guy's a scumbag. So I'm going to jump onto the other side of this one for a minute. I don't have a lot of experience with the Witcher franchise. I played the first one. I hear 2 and 3 are good. Haven't played them yet. Just waiting. I just haven't. Let's face it, Witcher 3 is 150 hours, and I haven't had 150 hours to set aside for that game. So I'm not going to say I understand genre-defining action RPG. I'm not questioning the validity or the quality of the game at all. But here's the thing. It is not. I don't know what Polish law is around this, but it is not It is generally a practice with this kind of licensing contract. What is essentially a windfall clause, meaning that if something does so much better, like, because there's projections of how much money you're going to earn from a thing, and if something does X amount better than that, you should get payments. You should be giving payments to the person you licensed it from. And as from what I understand, this didn't have that kind of clause in there. So it's possible his argument is the contract he originally signed did not offer a mechanism for him to profit, percentage wise or not, if it became absurdly popular. And that being said, he does have plenty of money. This thing just got optioned for Netflix. So it's not like,
oh yeah.
Yeah.
For Netflix. He's getting TV movies out of it. There have been other movies. My point is, it is possible that the contract was written in such a way that it did not take into account the possibility of it becoming the kind of mega success it has become. And if you and there are many legal systems where if how do I put this, the conditions on the ground radically changed from when you signed the contract, you were allowed to void or reassess the contract. And let's face it, he agreed to this flat fee going forward, but now it looks like they can make unlimited amounts of games for the same small flat fee, and it deprives him the right to try and take other offers or get the actual value of the property. Right, that it sounds dickish on his part, but there are actual legal reasons that he's able to do this.
Right.
Yeah, I think that's the challenge that I have on it as well, is that the emotion says, yeah, this guy doesn't really care about the community. He doesn't care about anything other than him getting paid on it. On the other side of things, though, if somebody comes in and doesn't value something and you sell it off to them without an expectation of anything else, and it goes terribly well for that other group because they know what's going on, and that person gets disadvantaged because of their lack of information or their lack of planning on it, there is a slight to that, like
you can make the point, as someone did, I forgot which of you made the point, that he full on did not understand the kind of market video games had when he signed that deal.
No, like
there was...
he legit said that he didn't believe it was going to be a thing. So it was his idea to take the lump sum of like $9,000.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Instead of taking royalties like a fucking idiot. It was his stupidity and arrogance that did this.
Right.
He agreed to that.
Right, because the thing is CD Projekt Red had came to him with the facts that with some of the projections that they had, they were going to do royalties. It was his own ignorance and thinking that video games was this simplistic form of entertainment that he wasn't going to make money on it.
Yeah. And he still feels that way. He still feels like it's not a good medium for the sort of work that he wants to do, and that's perfectly fine for him. Like it's disappointing that he feels that way, and obviously I disagree with that. I think that video games are a great medium to communicate in ways that books sometimes can't, and it's a matter of finding the right person who can tap into it. That'd be like me saying that if I'm a writer, artists are garbage and not worth anything. Well, no, it's a different way of communicating something, and there can be a lot of value in that. It's a bad off-the-cuff statement and horrible PR and recognition for him.
It's not off the cuff. He's doubled down on it multiple times.
So
that's fair.
And hell, Roger Ebert lived the rest of his life saying video games weren't art, and we all know he's wrong. But some people of a certain
he can believe what he wants.
Of a certain age just refuse to change their opinions. But I think what it comes down to is that was whatever $1,000 he made, and I say that he signed that contract, right? And Witcher game, I agree that he shouldn't get royalties for it, but I think it's not unfair to, now that there have been sequels to that and the brand has grown, that he should have the right to renegotiate. I mean, the Schuster family got to renegotiate Superman, right? And I think it's not crazy that he should be allowed to renegotiate this at a certain time, given the new value of the franchise.
That's a fair point. I think it all comes down to like the terms of the agreement, like how much should he actually sign away in his rights? Because if there's,
it was reported like something like $9,000 US.
Yeah. So we got the flat fee portion of it, right? But when it comes to creative rights and whatnot, at least US based.
Yeah. Did he void his rights to all sequels?
Right. That's the thing that needs to be done, and how that works in Polish law. Like in US law, like we'll just use, for example, as a photographer, because I can speak to that. If I were to take a photo and then sell it for one lump sum, and then sign something that says that I cannot pursue legal action if they reproduce or whatever, that's it. That I'm done. I can't go back after that photo. Even though it's my intellectual property, I've signed away my rights to that photo. Now, I don't know how that translates to Polish law, right? Because it could be different in that regard. But regardless, there's got to be stipulations and whatnot in their country as well, and what that looks like and what his agreement actually said. And I think that's what we're going to see. Is we're going to see the clause that both Dizza and Danny, you talked about, versus his what did he sign away? What did he actually? What was he willing to give up?
I think what's really going to happen, likely, I think what's really going to happen is they're going to give him like 2% of the property, and he's just going to go away. Just they don't, like you said, they don't need bad press. They don't need bad press, and they've got they're making plenty of money off The Witcher. So it would just financially make sense to avoid a lawsuit, give him a percentage or two, and he'll just go away. These things.
I mean, they did say that they don't want to make this bigger than it needs to be. Like they want to fix the whole situation, which is fair and good. And PR standpoint, like that's the best thing that they could have said, you know?
Yep. Yeah,
I think I would be surprised if they don't come up with this, if they don't announce a settlement by the end of the year, like, because they're making another Witcher game and they want all bad press out of this before the Witcher TV show happens. So I'm just going to say there's kind of I would be very surprised if they didn't have a settlement before you get big news about the Witcher TV show premiere.
Yeah, which, I mean...
Because you want all of that stuff.
Odd silence. No.
Out of the way. Yeah.
Yeah, out of the way. I was going to say, my guess is probably within, like, before the end of Q1. I feel like unless they were to settle on something sooner before the end of the year, like, if there's any judgment involved with it, like, we would not see anything till mid to end Q1. And even then, that's just a guess.
When there's a new property coming out, you want all this stuff squared away, and so that is why I'm thinking that target is the only thing that makes sense.
No, I think you're right. Do we know a release date for the TV series?
Starting filming it until
it's not for a long time.
So there's plenty of time for that to be
They're starting
settled
filming
out.
at the beginning of next year, so there's plenty of time to wrap this up.
Okay.
Lawsuits, they wrapped up the Jason lawsuit.
The Jason lawsuit. Please.
Yes, please.
I've been waiting to hear about this for an hour and a half now.
I want to know. Yeah.
Okay, sorry. So what happened was, all right, so you're all familiar with Friday the 13th.
Yes.
Yes.
The Jason
the horror game or
the beautiful
the movie?
horror franchise.
Okay.
And so what happened was they made this they made this horror movie back in 1980 to kind of rip off Halloween, because Halloween was super popular, so they wanted to crank out a bunch of slasher films to capitalize on people's newfound lust for slasher films. Sean Cunningham, who had mostly done kids movies up until that point, was working with Victor Miller, who had written, I think it was like a kids football, Bad News Bears type of thing for me. He's like, can you write one of these slasher movies? And they spitballed what it should be about and blah, 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 blah. Victor Miller goes off and writes it. The 13th. Fast forward, Jason becomes a national icon. Everybody knows about the hockey mask, blah, 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 blah.
Mm-hmm.
This past year, Victor Miller is saying, okay, well, it's been 30 years. It's been 35 years. I'm pretty sure that I didn't have a contract to write Friday the 13th. So that means I own Friday the 13th and I own Jason. And I don't know what caused him to say that, but that's what the lawsuit was based on. He's saying because essentially what it comes down to is because Sean Cunningham didn't pay him in advance and didn't have a contract hiring him to write the thing, because he wrote it on his own, that means he owns the characters, the situation, not the title, because that wasn't the original title, but he owns the characters and the situation. So he owns Jason, he owns Murders at Camp Crystal Lake, he owns Camp Crystal Lake in that context. That is his statement, because saying it was a work for hire.
Mm-hmm.
And that is what the lawsuit has been about. And so what happened was the Friday the 13th game, and this is Gun Media getting honestly a little bit whiny about it, they decided, oh, well, we're just going to stop supporting our game then, because we don't know how the lawsuit is going to shake out, and it's going to turn out what happens if we spend the next year working on the game, and then we got to turn all the money over to Victor Miller. And Victor Miller, even if he owns Friday the 13th, you guys all signed contracts in good faith. You could easily come to a settlement. He's not going to swoop in and sue you for every single dollar made out of the game, because this was all done in good faith based on they didn't start making the game and sign all the contracts after Victor Miller signed the lawsuit, so they had no way of knowing. So they were getting pretty honestly overreacting to the lawsuit a lot. But what it came down to is the settlement came down this week. He does own the screenplay. So Sean Cunningham said work for hire, but he couldn't back it up with paperwork. So now Victor Miller, once again, he owns Friday the 13th, he owns Jason, he owns Camp Crystal Lake. Now, there's still no news about what that means for the video game. Contract was with Horror Incorporated, which is the holding company that Sean S. Cunningham made to hold the rights to Friday the 13th.
Okay.
So they don't have a contract with the owner of Jason and Friday the 13th now, so they might have to redo their paperwork to keep developing the game. But as of right now, they can still sell the game, because it's just going to be a question of where their royalties are supposed to go now. Interesting part is, and this is where it gets kind of fun, there's a question as to whether Victor Miller owns giant monster man Jason. Created Friday the 13th. Exactly. He created Friday the 13th, which is about a lady murdering a bunch of counselors because 20 years ago her son drowned in a lake. And at the end of it, a zombie version of that kid attacks a lady in a dream sequence. There is no giant hulking adult Jason until the second film, which Victor Miller didn't write. So it's possible to make the legal argument own the idea of adult backwoods hillbilly zombie monster Jason. Sean S. Cunningham might still own the rights to that character. That is not determined by this, but the name Jason Voorhees, the place Crystal Lake, the Voorhees family, all of that 100% owned by Victor Miller, but rather strangely, he doesn't own the rights to the title Friday the 13th. So they could change it is possible that they could change the character's name to Ethan Morse playing that game as is, as long as you don't say his name is Jason, and you take if you take all of the mother out of it, which isn't hard to do, you take the mother out, you change the character's name, you could probably still sell that game as Friday the 13th without changing anything else.
Okay.
There's a good possibility he doesn't own the rights to point of fact, the judge in his ruling said I did not look into or consider whether he owns the adult Jason. That is not part of this lawsuit. That is a question for another lawsuit and another court. All he is saying is he owns the right to Jason Voorhees, Camp Crystal Lake, and the situation that happens in that film. Yeah. I have caught you up on the lawsuit.
Wow.
It's complicated.
Sounds incredibly complicated. Like, how do you even start with that? Like,
No. Where do you start with trying to figure this stuff out? Is exactly the right question. I mean, and the answer is that's why there are copyright lawyers.
Mm-hmm.
You know? That's why copyright lawyers make good money, is because this stuff is absurdly complicated. It's so hard to figure out, but it is fascinating stuff. But what it comes down to is right now, Gun Media, dishonest of them to, well, not dishonest, but kind of dickish of them to announce they're not going to support the game anymore, but then make it PS Plus's game of the month.
Well, that was probably like planned out way in advance, though.
That's true. It is October, so. But yeah, it is October, so of course they wanted a prominent horror game. But it's like
I'm so glad I didn't buy that game.
I would say that there's certainly a level of irony that goes into that, because wow, you know.
Yeah.
I guess, like, from the standpoint of not supporting the game, I guess I can understand that to the point of they don't know where to send money. They don't know what kind of legal repercussions they could have, because they don't know where to send the royalties that they're supposed to pay.
Checks, exactly.
Yeah. Where?
Well, honestly, I can't say this is for sure going to happen, but this is a very good ruling Miller. And it wouldn't surprise me. And again, I know this is exactly what I just said in the CD Projekt Red story, but given how good this ruling went for Victor Miller, and that he essentially now owns the character, it would not shock me at all to see them now saying, well, okay, Miller, have your percentage of Jason. We're going to keep making products. You just are going to own a percentage of Jason from now on. Be the smart thing. I don't know if they're going to do the smart thing, but that 100%, that would be the smart thing to do.
Oh, yeah.
Given the situation,
it would be the smart thing to do. I guess instead of not supporting the game, maybe just declaring like they weren't going to support the game until everything was settled, one way or the other.
Yeah, abandoning. I have to say, devs saying they're abandoning a game is death of that game.
Yep.
It's true.
I completely
and that
agree
is
with
that's literally career suicide for them. I don't know why they even made a statement like that.
Right? Yeah, I didn't understand why they made that statement. They're like, no,
That
just
didn't need to be
right.
said.
All they had to do. You're totally right. Is say we are taking a wait and see until the lawsuit is settled. But obviously, we want to keep supporting the community who we love and value.
Why would they even need to put out a statement to begin with? Like, sure, behind closed doors, in the company, and the higher up saying, let's not talk about this. Let's just see how it goes. Instead, they're like, we're gonna quit playing. We're gonna quit updating the game. Have fun.
We'll keep doing bug fixes, and we're not turning off the servers yet. But
like what? Why would you say that? That is such a dumb thing to say as a game dev.
Yeah.
I mean, I imagine they felt an obligation to say something, because if you say nothing, you sit there for long enough saying nothing, people are going to wonder. They're going to find out about the lawsuit. They're going to find out about how that turned out, and then say, well, gosh, they seem like they're in limbo. Are they actually going to support us? But even then, I think that saying nothing is a better message than saying what they said.
Look, you can address the lawsuit without saying that you're pulling your support for the game that you've created. Like, that just seems like a really dumb thing to say.
Because
they got a lot of heat from the community over that one. Like, they really
rightfully so.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Reason.
Very dumb on their part, and hopefully, now that the lawsuit is wrapped up, hopefully cooler heads will prevail.
Hey guys, we're actually just kidding. We're actually going to continue working on the game. That is exactly 100% what they need to say. Otherwise, that game is dead.
Yeah.
And it's like, to have it happen right when it goes on PS Plus, meaning that, millions of extra people are going to have access to this game. Come on, guys. Like, this is the worst possible time. And that's why, again, this lawsuit plus the PS... Well, no, but the PS Plus the lawsuit getting settled within a week of each other should give them all the motive in the world to just cut Victor Miller a check, find a percentage you can agree on, and start promoting this game again.
It doesn't work so quickly, though. Like,
no.
We're coming up on Halloween. The game's namesake. Like, it needs...
13th, but yes.
Well, yeah.
You're thinking of Halloween.
Yes, I'm not thinking of Halloween. I'm sick. Leave me alone. I had a brain aneurysm. Anyway, it's coming up on Halloween. On Twitch, it is like a huge thing. There's literally millions of people waiting for their favorite streamers to play horror games.
Yep.
We have YouTube is the same way. Like, a bunch of YouTubers are going to be playing scary games. I don't like. You want your game to do well.
Yeah, we have a healthy alternative that we know has developmental support versus one that's definitely hands off. I know which game I want to pick.
Yeah, well, I don't know how many people are actually.
The gameplay is much better in Friday the 13th than it is Dead by Daylight. Dead by
I'm
Daylight
not going to disagree. Yeah.
It definitely has support. And I'm just excited about last summer. What is that thing called? Being a Discord. It's last summer, I think it's called, which is the Discord slasher game that is being sold. I didn't even know Discord has a store, and it's being sold exclusively in the Discord store.
Yes, in fact, I thought that was still Canadian storefront. Did it go beyond the borders
I don't
of
think it's
Canada land?
I think it's only still in Canada land.
Canada.
Canada.
Canada is the term you're looking for. But yeah, I'm excited about that one, but I guess I have to go to the Discord store, which is kind of weird.
Yeah, that's a Canadian store only at the moment.
And I guess this is going to be the first game they push to sell. Like they want this to be their big. We're a serious game store. We're a serious place to buy games. We want people to buy games here, and our big killer app is going to be this new slasher game, asymmetrical multiplayer. So
There's
yeah,
been
I mean,
like a
that
lot,
could
like
be interesting.
there's been a lot of games that are like, well, not a lot, but like almost every single one has been a flop when it comes to asymmetrical games, like asymmetrical gameplay and team gameplay.
It's basically just Friday the 13th that's been a success,
Yeah, like Dead by Daylight
and it has.
sort of works.
But you know, it's so
Kind
wonky
of.
to play.
To me, it is.
The thing about that makes Friday the 13th wonderful is it's both entertaining to be Jason, and it's entertaining to run away from Jason. Whereas, I mean, personally, I know your mileage may vary, but I don't find it entertaining to be the killers in Dead by Daylight because first person is a ridiculous mode for that kind of game. And more importantly, I don't want to have like the whole process of, I got to drag people to a thing to complete a thing. I'm like, I should just be killing people. This is the slasher game.
Yeah.
Why am I not just killing people? And that's what Friday the 13th gets. It gets the immediacy. Like when Jason shows up, everything has gone awry and people are going to die right now. And you don't have that immediacy to the gameplay of Dead by Daylight.
So is the game called Last Year the Nightmare, or am I
Last
looking
Year
at
the
the wrong-
Nightmare.
Okay,
I just completely botched the title.
that's okay.
Happens to the best of us.
The Nightmare. Well, no, I got confused because Friday the 13th.
I totally didn't do that.
Friday the 13th was originally called Summer Camp, is why I got that confused. Yeah, before it was a licensed title, it was just called Summer Camp, and it was about Friday the 13th without being a Friday the 13th game.
Mm.
Of course, they quickly got the title, because of course they would. So I'm excited for last year. I hope it does well.
Okay. I have an issue with asymmetrical horror games like this because it's not. How do I put this? It's easy to grief. Like in Dead by Daylight, you can do the like window jumping back and forth stupidly for a while. You can just be such a dick, and there's nothing you can really do about it. The devs haven't really done anything about that. You're just using the mechanics in the game, right? So
yeah,
and that's why one of my happiest things to see in Friday the 13th was the first element they put in. Jason breaks windows, so if you try to jump in and out a window, you'll bleed to death the third time you jump through a broken window.
Yeah, exactly.
Way to trick Jason. There's no way to trap Jason. I mean, and the weird part is the devs were on top of it early on. Like early on, people found ways to like cheat their ways onto roofs so they could never be caught, or cheat their way into places you can't get to. And like the devs, to their credit, were really good about, I mean, obviously it took them a while to fix the problem, but they acknowledged the problems right away and they went to work on them right away.
Mm-hmm.
Dead
so
by
like,
Daylight
these guys
has
were
been
good
out for
right up until this lawsuit.
3 years, 2 years,
Something
like that.
2.5 maybe. Well, no, 2 years. It's been 2 years. I seem to recall like it was September 2016 when it was in beta. Was it June? Okay, so
June 14th.
I was out by a couple months.
But yeah, so that game has been out since June of 2016, and it still has those issues where I don't even play the game. I watch my friends play it occasionally. I don't find it interesting or entertaining to watch, but I do see people do stupid things like that where it's like Man, that's infuriating. I'm so glad I don't play this game.
Yeah, I'm kind of that way
It's
with
infuriating.
like apparently I'm
know.
half decent at the game, but I don't necessarily always enjoy playing it, and so trying to watch it just hurts. It's
I
like
can't.
no, and for anyone that enjoys it, great. I'm glad you enjoy it. I've actually gotten to the point where like I try to support my streaming friends that are playing games, but if they're playing Dead by Daylight, I just don't show up. I'm sorry.
No.
It's like PUBG, Fortnite. I have a lot of friends who play those games, and I love them very much, and I want them nothing. I want them nothing. I want them to be successful,
the best
but
for them. You want nothing.
You want nothing but
yes,
Yes.
I can't go to that stream anymore. Like I just
No, I get it.
Yep.
like they're
You
first
mean
of
it's
all the
not good to watch.
categories on Twitch, those categories are so filled with people. They're never going to be seen. It's so boring for me to watch. Like unless you're Shroud or somebody really freaking good at the game, I'm not even remotely interested in watching. And even Shroud, I'm not even remotely interested in watching. So
Right.
There you go. And I think that's what it comes down to is like Friday the 13th, and that's why the problems they've been having with just fixing this lawsuit situation bother me so much, because they really did crack something there. They like cracked something really interesting, and they made this asymmetrical work in a way that it so fundamentally hasn't for so long.
yeah, I played it.
Like, come on, guys, and it's so much fun to watch. So early in the game, I don't care. I enjoy watching people chase people down. I enjoy watching the brutal murders. I enjoy watching the last second escapes.
I'll give you that for Friday the 13th. I think it's a little more interesting just because you actually
it
see
is
the
a
slash.
little more interesting,
Yeah.
but
Right, if you're not into watching that type,
right.
do a lot to it.
Mm.
I just think
Okay.
of all of them, it's by far the best one.
Yeah, I agree with that. I had played it. I had gotten a PAX code from a friend, and I checked it out before it was released, and I was like, this is gonna be big on Twitch. This is gonna be huge. Like I already knew, and
Right
I was
away.
like, this. Yeah, right away. It like I played one match and was like, this is gonna be huge.
Mm-hmm.
It's not my kind of game, but it's cool, and like I said, I do agree with you. It is more interesting to watch than Dead by
Competition.
Daylight.
Yeah.
Yeah, the competition. I mean,
Competition was
the
Dead by
player
Daylight
the
and
player
White
base.
Noise.
Yeah,
And
the
White
player
Noise
base
and,
are
God,
very.
what's that one? Yeah. I was trying to think, what's the other game that I can't remember the title of? Evolution.
Oh, that's because it's not a thing anymore. That's why you don't
It was
remember the
such a
title.
disaster.
That's what I
Right,
was
right.
talking about when I was saying like that was the first thing that popped into my mind talking about asymmetrical games is that game was such a flop, and I played it quite a bit, and I was like,
Crashed hard.
By the way, it's Evolve, guys. But yes.
Sorry.
evolve.
But yeah,
But
I mean, you're on the right track.
I just one quick drive-by though before you continue. Sorry, it is Evolve. One quick drive-by before we continue. I questioned whether I was going to start playing Evolve, and then I looked at the pre-order structure. This game was notorious for pre-orders, so I'm singing to the choir here. But when it's like, for an extra $15, you can get alternate skins for the main monsters.
Yeah.
And I looked at what the alternate skins was, and I'm like, they're a different color. It's the same monster, it's a different
Yeah.
color. They changed 3 values.
Yep.
In Paint, right? Sorry, I was about to say Microsoft Paint. Of course, whatever Adobe they built it in, they changed 3 number values, and then they sold that for $10. No. And that's like,
I
that is
feel-
the moment
I
where I'm
feel-
like, I'm never going to play Evolve.
I feel like we might be beating a dead horse here.
Yeah.
Though.
And that was a
Poor Mr.
drive-by.
Ed.
I don't want to get into it, but I've been angry about that for 2 years. So,
Rightfully so. Rightfully so. That's another reason why I didn't pick up that game.
Yeah.
it's like, I am so old. I remember when games, you could just change the characters' colors yourself. You didn't have to
Right?
pay
Yeah,
for
right?
that.
Yeah. That's.
Oh,
Oh my
that,
god.
that reminds me. Rip Firefall. That was actually a really fun game.
Which one's Firefall?
Exactly, it's
Yup.
dead. They closed
I'm
it.
so sorry.
We'll take our
It
moment
was- it
to
was
press
fun.
F to pay our respects.
Here, I'll do it in chat. F in chat to pay respects to Firefall.
Okay.
It was just
Oh, God.
bad management.
Yeah, it was. There's so many things that they're trying to do, and they didn't know what they wanted to do in the end.
The gameplay was really fun though.
Yeah.
I will have to check it out.
No, don't, because then you'll be like,
Okay, I
well,
can't.
I missed
No,
it.
I mean the history of it. I don't mean I'm gonna buy a game you can't play. I'm not a crazy.
No, you just you'll have that like, oh, I want to play that. It's really cool.
Oh.
I spent so much money in that game.
Oh gosh.
So. No, I get
Back in those days. Well, I think maybe this is a good spot for us to take our break. So for everyone, get up, move around, stretch, grab a snack, grab a drink, but don't go too far. The Newbcast will return shortly. All right. Welcome back to the Newbcast Podcast, part 2.
Oh,
Oh,
Oh, hi.
so as we went to break, I heard more jazz come up. I'm just like, I'm okay with all this jazz. I'm so okay with all the jazz we've got going on.
And then you transitioned into that.
Look,
What a great transitions between jazz and then just utter double bass and
look, there's absolutely nothing wrong with Ninja Turtles.
That is true. And there is a strange correlation between people who would play jazz and people who would play all that bass.
Does it
Yeah.
belong to us?
there you go.
Oh my god.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I haven't even thought about that meme in forever. That's a meme before memes existed. When I was your age.
Back in
That
the
takes us
day.
back. That takes us back.
We enjoyed Flash videos.
We played, oh gosh, Macromedia Flash games instead of Adobe
Media
Flash games.
games.
Yeah,
Mm.
that was a thing. So, we've been talking a lot about legals and stuff going out legals and whatnot. What about some updated news regarding a topic that we've talked about the last couple podcasts?
Hey.
that game that Elijah loves that I can't remember, Alone in the Dark.
No.
What year was that? 2008? I
I
don't
think
recall.
that was 2008.
We're on the 10th anniversary of a game that I called the best horror game of that year. Accidentally invited on the only other person in the world who loved Alone in the Dark 2008. You thought you'd gotten away from it, but you wandered right
Oh
into
my
the
gosh.
lines.
What
Well,
did I do?
This was a trap. This was planned.
Well,
All along, and you fell right into it.
Oh my gosh. No, it's kind of a horror game, kind of. It's got spoopy moments, but it's the latest involving the Walking Dead. Would you still call it a TellTale Game at this point? Because I feel like with the latest news, it's not technically a TellTale Game anymore.
Not anymore. but,
An artist formerly known as TellTale.
All right.
there you go.
So,
well, isn't it known as something else now?
well, no. So the Skybound Games.
Yeah, them.
Yeah, Skybound Games agreed to pick it up. They're willing to take on.
Completely different thing.
Yeah, they're willing to take on people from TellTale Games. Although, I have my opinions about that. What's notable about Skybound Games though, is that let me just get his first name so I make sure I know his last name. But Robert Kirkman, who is the co-creator of the Walking Dead comic book, actually founded the studio that's picking up the game.
It's his
cool.
game studio, and of course, he's currently working kind of on the new Left 4 Dead, but with the Walking Dead thing that he oh god, I never remember the game. Payday. The Payday people are making.
Oh, yep.
Skybound is co-producing that with them because I guess he wants more direct control over video game adaptations from now on. So he started his own studio to develop his own projects and to work in tandem on Walking Dead projects.
Which is, I mean, great for him to do that. It's interesting that of all the different studios that could pick it up, it is a studio that's founded by one of the guys that created the actual comic book, that created like the whole franchise in the first place. And I think that's why the news in this case became more notable than just, oh, TellTale had some pick up The Walking Dead, so we can actually see what happens to Clementine.
So why do you have? I feel that you have bad opinions about that.
So it's mixed. One, I think it's great that
Okay.
they're willing to take up TellTale Game employees. I think that's great, and I'm glad that they're willing to that like he wants to help them out. But that would have been great 2 weeks ago, or even a week ago, because of the fact there's no severance, there's no way for these people to make ends meet. Their lives were just, turned upside down.
Upended.
They had to scramble to get jobs, and there are members of this team that created the Walking Dead Telltale adventure game that have already moved on. So now it's like, well, you could
Sure.
move on and do that, but you can come back and do this, and then it's just that tension of what do you do.
I
And is it a
agree
good idea
too.
to come back and do this? Because it's not like they're making any. Like, this is a one-time contract. It's not
Yeah.
like he's hiring all those people.
I agree with you, but I also think that it takes. I mean, the 250 people were laid off.
Well, and the
And
skeleton crews,
that's a massive amount of people.
it is. And I realized that all of them were working on The Walking Dead either. So I mean, there's that factor.
A lot of them aren't getting picked up. Yeah, just because they were the ones
Right.
working on like the
Right.
wolf. What is the wolf called?
Wolf Among Us. Yeah,
Thank you.
I never remember it either. For some reason, it just clicked that
I wanted
time.
to say
That
the wolf
one
within, but,
time.
like,
Yes, the wolf
Within,
within. The wolf within, for
yes,
sure.
That's totally it.
I think it the reason why it's 2 weeks later is because that is an insane amount of people, and it takes a little bit of planning and organization to bring a bunch of people on board from a completely different studio.
Mhm.
So I think that is
Yeah.
why we're seeing like such a delay between the two. But I also 100% agree with you that it would have been nice when it happened.
Yeah.
say we're working on this.
Yeah, or something that would have given them some light at that tunnel. But the fact that it's something. Having this studio, having Skybound willing to pick up anyone that was on the Walking Dead team before. I mean, it's a sign of good faith that they're willing to do that, which is nice. And it's, I guess at the end of the day, like, it just the developers, the people involved, are the ones that I'm most concerned about in this situation. Like, I don't care if Clementine's story gets finished. Great that it is, but what does that mean for the people that worked on that game and all the other ones? Where are they now? Did they land on their feet?
I kind of agree with you to an extent. I really liked the original Walking Dead. It was very, very, like, it sucked me in, very engrossing.
Mhm.
But then as time went on, as the episodes took freaking months to come out, the less interest that I had in it I would just be like, I would forget about it. And I wouldn't be interested in it for like a long time. And then 7 months later, Telltale's like, we're coming out with a new episode. It's like, oh great, well I guess I'll wait another 4 months for you guys to come out with all of the episodes.
Mm-hmm.
Wonderful. So I'll just put it out of my mind until then. And that's why finally we're coming to this last season, and it's like, well, do I even want to pick it up? Do I want to drop the cash on a game that, like, I love Clementine. I actually really love that character, but do I have an interest in actually dropping cash to find out what happens, or I could just go watch like a video or something, or read something about it.
Honestly, how much gameplay is there really?
That's just it. Oh, and that's probably why the next episode only has a couple things that needs to be buffed out. And what is it? Is it the fourth one? Has enough development that's been done where they can. I mean, it's doable. To finish everything out. I don't know. There's still something about it that just irks me the wrong way.
Right.
I guess
For me, I don't know if this is a popular opinion or not, but I never understood why they were in the first place. I never got that. Like, just as a business model, never made any sense to me. Because my first experience with TellTale was Jurassic Park, which was my game of the year that year, and I heralded the return of the interactive movie, a genre I have always loved, right? And I was like, interactive movies are back. I love it. Great, but you know what? I got a copy of that game, and I played the whole game, and I liked the whole game, and then I moved on. And then The Walking Dead happened, and they're like, good, you played for 40 minutes. Now I hope you enjoy waiting 2 months. Like,
Yeah.
you just sell it to me when it was done.
I definitely agree with you. I agree with you on certain points. Jurassic Park, garbage, hot garbage.
You're a crazy person. It's a wonderful game, but anyway, that's not relevant to what we're talking about.
The reason why I say that is because I picked it up after playing The Walking Dead and a few other like way later, like more polished TellTale games. So when I went back to Jurassic Park, I was like, what the hell is this? Like, you could see where they were going.
PC or did you play it on console?
Oh, I played it on PC.
Okay, good. Because at least then you played a functional version of the game. It didn't work on consoles.
Yeah, there was a very interesting moment that I every time we talk about this game, it's always like the lady's running through the bushes and she jumps out onto the road, gets hit by the car, and he gets out and he's like, are you okay? Like, you just hit her with a car and she's unconscious. Why are you talking to her? Help her.
I think we talked at pretty good lengths last time too about the business model, like everything that went wrong with the company in the first place, and it just, I think we just continue to have things peeled back for us to see since the closure, as far as like management, how people were treated, and the things that led up to the closure, including people being hired the same week. So maybe the poor taste in my mouth just really comes from TellTale in general, and just like the management group of
the management. 100%, it's the management, not the employees that were the devs who are working so hard on the games and stuff like that. It's definitely the failure to manage a company.
Right. And maybe that's just why, like, that's just projecting a bit onto Skybound Games as far as, like, what happened. Like, they're just, they're picking them up and finishing the game. There's just something sour about it. Even though everything that Skybound intends to do is with good intentions, so far as I can tell. And, I mean, when you got someone at the helm that created the IP in the first place, can you really go wrong? And as far as
we'll find out.
Yeah, I guess.
Well, I mean, even if it is just for finishing up the last season, it's cash in their pocket until they can figure something else out. Mm-hmm. And Dizzy, you're very quiet. Please give me your opinion. I'm sorry. I feel like I've been talking too much.
No.
Talk.
No, I think all of the major points that are out here are things that I've thought of on one set or stage. I think it's so disappointing to see that everything happened so suddenly, and people really didn't know what was going to take place until TellTale made the call. If there was some sense of advance notice, there could have been an opportunity to hire directly over into this other company. There could have been a lot of the sort of things that we would expect reasonable businesses to do to take care of their employees. And so that harshness is still there. It does make me very happy that there are communities that recognize what they're doing, are willing to support those developers that got stuck in a really tough place, as best as they can.
Mm-hmm.
But the fact is, it's not as good as it really could have been. And people are still going to be in a lot of trouble and turmoil in their personal lives because of the way that business was handled. I mean, that's the way it ends up.
Yeah.
It's true. There's no obvious winners here. It's just this is going to be a little less bad than it could have been, but still, Skybound is not like tripling, because I don't think Skybound is huge. They're not tripling the size of their studio.
No.
They're just paying money to finish this one game.
Yeah.
Now,
It's like the house is on fire, you're on the 3rd floor and you have to jump off. That's your only way to do it. Somebody puts a couple of pillows down.
Than nothing.
Well, it
is better than
like
nothing.
You're saying they're paying some money to get the game done, but that money is going into people's pockets to pay rent and put food on the table for their family.
But I'm just saying that is a 2-month. It's a stopgap. It's 2 months. They're not giving them their pensions back. They're not giving them severance pay. It's like hopefully these guys will get a good paycheck. But I'm just saying, for work while you're finishing. I look at what's they're doing in Skybound is giving them a paycheck while they look for work more than anything.
Right.
else.
And that's
people
actually
say.
better than what TellTale gave them.
Oh no, and TellTale Game was supposed to do that. Legally, they were supposed to do that. They didn't. And so there are going to be lawsuits and there are going to be repercussions.
Yeah. I guess really
there should be lawsuits.
With that class action and the way the Warren Act was not implemented properly. I guess I'm just waiting to see how that turns out in court. So again, we're back to the legal. Apparently, guys, we're the noob legal scholars, and
it is weird that we got locked into so many conversations about lawsuits this week.
I'm definitely a lawyer.
Yes.
Past the bar and everything, eh? So yeah, I guess time will tell on that. One other quick topic that came up, I was just kind of perusing as we were discussing things. As we are well aware, this show was originally founded on World of Warcraft, and because we're Blizzard fans and such. This week, Mike Morhaime stepped down as president of Blizzard. Thoughts?
That's something that I did not know. So you literally just linked it in the Discord, and I'm like, what? For me, I don't think it really matters because I'm kind of over a lot of the Blizzard games. Like, I'll go back. That's not to say that I don't like Blizzard or any of their games. It's just I don't really play them very much anymore. I have like so many hours in Diablo 3 after the fix that they did. I didn't play it when it was launched, so I only know the good Diablo 3. I rarely, and by rarely I mean I haven't opened Overwatch in almost a year. Maybe no, it was like the Olympics or something like that, or maybe it was July, around that time. I don't play anything else. I haven't played StarCraft 2 in years, so it's not like.
Come on, Bronze Heroes, let's do it.
That's not to say that I don't like the games or anything. I moved on. Hopefully this is not gonna change anything, or if it does change stuff for the better. I don't really know what else to say.
I
know it's not the message, the hot take people are hoping for, but honestly, I gave up on Blizzard the minute they said they were never going to make StarCraft Ghost. And I was just like, okay, no, wow. I don't need you guys anymore. You guys don't care about single players anymore, so I don't care about you. Good for me and Blizzard.
Dizza, you haven't.
It's not a popular opinion. I get that, but like, oh, the head of a company I don't care about stepping down. Okay, well, that's fine.
Like I said, it's just something I stumbled upon. It's something I stumbled upon, so I thought I would ask for hot takes.
Yeah, I mean, I think transitioning it over to the executive producer of World of Warcraft tells you that Ghost isn't going to happen. It's still very strongly in the realm of multiplayer. It's not going to change. So no worries there. No love lost or gained, really. But I do think it makes sense as a business decision. Like, World of Warcraft has been the core of Blizzard for how many years now? To make this transition says, hey, they're going to be doing more of the same. They are innovating in different ways in their own separate sections, but we still want to be true to that core. And I think that's the message that this decision makes.
Mm-hmm.
It will be very interesting because Morheim was a co-founder. This is the first time that it's really been passed over to the next generation. I think about other companies that have gone through significant executive changes where an entire brand was developed under one name and it changed. You know, you think about like Apple and Steve Jobs and transforming everything and moving it to Tim Cook. Will it change? Yeah, I think that there will be a certain amount of things that that people will definitely be upset about. But out of all of the transitions, this is probably the smoothest one that you could possibly make. It's not someone from the outside. It's not someone from a different company or a different segment. It's not anybody from EA.
Yeah, right. That helps. Not that Activision's any better.
It's clear that they are trying to keep in-house, and that is probably a good sign for people who enjoy all of the different Blizzard games that they've come to know. And that there's not going to be a significant amount of change.
I guess I think that maybe a lot of that change has already happened. I mean, what was it, 2 years ago? Chris Metzen left also, which,
yeah,
I mean, he was a major player in the company too, and now seeing Morheim leave is just like, well, while it means that there'll be a change, or like a turn of the page and a new chapter for the company, I just I think the change has already been there, and that's maybe why they're taking off and seeing the greener grass, even words.
Yeah, no, that's a good thing. Hopefully, I mean, you guys are saying like, I think we all kind of felt the same about Blizz games, where it's just like, I don't really care about them all that much anymore. So hopefully this new person will maybe, bear with me, create a new IP.
Don't count on it. It's Blizzard.
Very surprised if they created a new IP.
Well,
I mean,
I would be pleasantly surprised.
No,
but I would be very surprised.
It'll take some time before Overwatch starts feeling stale that they'll consider a new IP, I think.
No, look, what they're going to do is they're going to try to do a huge major project and realize that they bit off way more than they could chew and actually slim it down to something else and ship that product instead. Hashtag Overwatch was a lot more.
Hopefully,
I'm still waiting for Star Citizen, so as long as they don't do that.
Gotcha.
All right. Yeah, I mean, I found out because I was just trying to find any other news that we could talk about quick, but it's been a quiet week besides the few things that we talked about, so maybe this is just a spot to wrap it up and call it a show. But before we go, one of the things that we do love talking about is what we got coming up on our own channels. With that said, why don't we kick it off with the birthday boy? What do you got coming up on your channel, Hippo?
Well, thank you. Tomorrow is a 12-hour stream starting at 3 p.m. Pacific to 3 a.m. We're gonna be just playing games. We're gonna start with like Euro Truck. So I don't know. Are you streaming tomorrow?
I'm not. I have an appointment at.
Well, maybe you can join me later in the stream or something. But yeah, so we're gonna do like, I think I'm just gonna start out with like a super chill game like American Truck Sim. Like I want to keep playing some of the DLC that just came out, and then I picked up Visage, which is a horror game. People are very hit or miss with. It is supposed to be a walking simulator, but since I have scare alerts and all that, that should be interesting. Uh, we're gonna play a bunch of multiplayer games like Golf with Your Friends, PvP games.
Nice.
And then I'm gonna be live on Tuesday with you, Michelle. We're gonna play some Guild Wars 2.
Yeah.
Thursday, Friday, or Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, we're probably gonna be playing 2 Point Hospital and I don't know, maybe The Sims. I don't know, something. Or actually, I was thinking, dare I say, 2 horror games in 1 week.
What?
Gotta check out Observer.
Whoa.
Observer for the game club. So maybe I'll do that as well.
Yep, Observers. Yep, you're right. Very good. Oh, I forgot to add in. Where can we find you?
Right here.
Oh.
Hippo.wtf. There you go. There you go. You can find everything there. That's actually my website.
Nice. Dizza G, what do you got coming up on your channel?
Well, let's see. Observer definitely needs to happen. So I think that's probably going to be Tuesday. And definitely looking forward to Hippo's stream tomorrow. That's going to be a delight. Other than that, we'll cross our fingers and hope that we can get through maybe 10% more of Persona 5.
So you're saying you're doing a 24-hour stream?
No, that's 20%. It's 20%. So
Okay.
maybe I need a 12-hour stream. That's
You should do
gosh.
a 12-hour stream.
There you go.
just Persona.
I'll just raid you after. Okay.
We'll make it 24 between the two of us. It's perfect.
Okay, we can do that.
But yeah, it'll be mostly Persona. I'm very excited for our game club next week. Observer, from everything that I've heard so far, should be a real delight. I am a huge fan of Cyberpunk in general, so this is definitely up my alley, and I'm sure I will be coming in with rose-tinted glasses, unless I end up being really, really, really disappointed. In which case, either way, you should be here next Sunday because it's gonna be fun.
I feel like there's gonna be a few puzzles in that game that is gonna make me want to just throw my headset at the wall. But maybe I'm wrong. I don't know.
Maybe you'll be proven wrong. Cool. Anything else coming up then?
That's pretty much it. If you want to check that out, it will be on twitch.tv/DizG. So definitely hang out there. I do try to host my stuff and post material on Twitter a little bit early, which is also DizG. You can pretty much find me anywhere on the internet as DizG because nobody else would ever have that name.
Nice.
Yeah, I mean, I got universal branding as well, so it feels good, man.
It feels good. It sounds good when you're trying to listen to people say the name too. Oh.
Oh no! Don't no! Why did you remind me? That hurts my heart.
Oh dear. Danny, what do you got coming up on your channel? Where can we find you?
Hidden Object Guru on YouTube. We're having a great time there as usual. It's daily streams of whatever people sent me that day. Which, we're getting 2-3 games a day generally. So we play whatever's new, and then after that, we play the game we're working our way through. Currently, that is a little thing called Deliver Us the Moon. Sci-fi exploration and some light puzzling. It is super gorgeous. Can't say enough good things about Deliver Us the Moon. It's not that expensive. It's got incredible production values. It looks fantastic. And check it out. So we're every night, starting around 9 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, we do our daily streams. And right now, like I said, hot new games and Deliver Us the Moon. Oh, and of course, if you're curious, hey, who is it that knows more about Criminal Minds than anybody? That's me, Farjalon.com, for all your Criminal Minds review needs.
Awesome.
What do you got going on, Mish?
Well, we got more Guild Wars coming up on Tuesday, of course, for Guild Wars Tuesday. going to be joined by Hippo. Wednesday is going to be a game of 0 hours played. We did that with, wow, my thoughts, Super Hot.
A game that everybody
That,
played.
that must,
we all
that
played
must have
that.
been a fantastic
No.
game that you love
Oh
and
my
would
gosh.
definitely play
It
again.
was the most innovative shooter that we've played in years. So no, I mean I did that a couple weeks ago. Last week was Guild Wars because of my certain reasons.
Certain reasons.
Yeah.
I know these reasons.
You do know these reasons, but the idea is on Wednesday. It's going to be a game that's in the library, has 0 hours played because it was like, I should pick that up. I should actually play it now. So we're going to be doing that again. And then things are a little bit in a disarray because we've got a trip coming up. We're going to SoCal in the near future. So, that's a thing.
Should be a good time.
But
For something of relevance and interest.
yeah, it should be interesting. But we'll
Mish,
see.
are you going to be doing any like IRL streams or anything like that?
That's a
when we're
good
at
question.
TwitchCon?
I thought about that. I thought about doing that.
Me too.
Maybe when I get that drink from you.
Fine. I will literally buy you a drink on stream, so you will leave me the heck alone. There will be video evidence of me buying you a drink, so that you can never ever make me buy you a drink ever again.
There, we did it, guys.
You know, the only bummer about it is that you won't be playing Truck Simulator while it happens.
Oh, right.
I know. It's actually a good thing.
right.
you
I'll probably
know.
crash it.
If you've seen the way she drives in Truck Sims.
Wow.
Non-drunk, by the way.
Wow. That hurts. That hurts so much. But yeah,
Truth
that's what's
hurts.
going to be coming up on here. So just keep an eye out for it. On Twitter, I'm Miss Michelle Jean on here. You already found me. And the podcast will be available a couple days from now on various platforms that we're working on, all the platforms. That said, for Dizzy, Hipponymous, for the Hidden Object Guru, and myself, my name's Miss Michelle Jean. We've been the Newbcast Podcast. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you all next time.
See you guys.